Sometimes I wonder if us surviving our encounters was dumb luck or a miracle. On one hand, I imagine lucky people don't have to deal with what we did on a weekly basis. On the other, if there was a God looking out for us, I'd want to ask him two questions. The first would be why he allows even half of the things that we have seen to exist at all. The second would be why we have to deal with them. Now, I'm not only talking about Carl, Nick, and I'm referring to everyone in my town whose issues have been going on well before I was even born. Hell, they could have been occurring as far back as the town's founding, for all we knew. We imagine it had to start after the town was built, because why in the hell would people choose to settle in a place full of weird, dangerous things? Then again, Australia is a place that people choose to live, despite it being home to the most poisonous creatures on Earth, so who knows? Speaking of poison, that toad looked ready to gobble us right up. It sized us up, licking its lips in anticipation. With the car overturned, our chances of escape seemed slim to none. Not to mention, I couldn't even run, only hop quickly. Too bad for me, it seemed to be set on consuming me first. I think somehow it knew I couldn't get away easily. Its tongue started stretching towards me. We reacted by firing our crossbows at it, causing it to cry out in pain. By doing this, we learned that its skin was venomous as well. Our arrows, which stuck into its belly, disintegrated instantly. Still, they had to hurt, so that was at least some good news for us. What wasn't was the fact it now had become pissed off. It let out a croaking roar and slammed against the ground. The impact of it caused my bones to rattle, rendering me temporarily paralyzed. With doubling vision and stars dancing in front of my eyes, I was almost helpless as it came closer. "I can't see anything," I declared. "What about you guys?" "No," Nick replied. "I can't move either." We asked Carl if he was doing any better. He didn't respond and seemed busy trying to do something. I managed to shake away the stars in front of my vision, allowing myself to view the toad, now towering over me. I still couldn't move, although this time I think it was more to fear rather than the quake. It resumed stretching out its tongue, which circled around but didn't yet touch me. I knew that once it did, the venom coating it would be burning through me. There wasn't really anything I could do, though. That's why I say thank goodness for Carl. As the toad was about to grab hold of me with its tongue, I saw a quick flash of orange fly past me, the brightness of which forced me to squint my eyes. The toad let out a roar of pain. I looked and saw an arrow, now on fire, sticking from its tongue. Apparently, Carl had been making flame arrows. The one he fired was sticking out of the toad's tongue. The heat of its fire seemed to be counteracting the poison, preventing it from dissolving as our arrows did before. Try as it might to shake it free, it was unable to do so. "Heads up, guys," Carl yelled out, tossing us some arrows that he modified by wrapping and soaking it in gasoline. Using these, we continued firing at it. "Hey, I think we're driving it back," Nick said, hopefully. Indeed, that seemed to be the case. Our arrows were forcing it to retreat. I even managed to get one of its eyes. However, it did something we didn't expect. It shook its body and tongue, sending its saliva flying in our direction. Scared it would get on me, I raised my crossbow to shield myself. Fortunately for Carl and I, none of it got on us. Nick, on the other hand, wasn't so lucky. "Fuck!" he shrieked in pain. We looked to see a large portion of it now covering Nick's chest and stomach. Carl immediately rushed over to him. I checked on the toad to see it jumping away from us. When it was out of sight, I went over to Nick as well. Carl used a blanket he brought, trying to wipe away the poison. Pete, he's thrashing around too much. Help me hold him down. I held down his arms and Carl his legs. Shit, he looks bad. Do you think he'll be all right? I don't know. Let's try and do all we can for him right now. We just couldn't catch a break that night. First, we had to deal with that toad, which almost ate me. I shudder to think about what the inside of its stomach would have looked like. Now, Nick was suffering thanks to the abomination's venom. Is there anything we can do about the poison? We can try. From his pack, he got out a first aid kit, a thermos, and a plastic water bottle that he tossed beside me. What's this for? Get him to bite down on it. He bit down on it so hard it started leaking. Carl used his thermos to collect some of the poison off of him. Nick, sorry, this is going to hurt like hell, he told him, pulling out a bottle of rubbing alcohol. Even with the water bottle in his mouth, Nick's screams were loud enough to rattle my eardrums after Carl poured the alcohol on him. Despite our combined strength, we could hardly hold him in place. Finally, he calmed down a little, but was breathing heavily. We need to get him to a hospital, I said. Is the car still turned on its side? Carl glanced up, looking past me. Unfortunately, yes. Damn it, do you think those hunters' car is nearby? Good thinking. I'll go check, you stay here. Got it. Not like I can go anywhere else. In spite of the fact, Carl was probably only gone for about 10 minutes. It felt like hours. Eventually, though, he drove up in a pickup truck. The driver's window was shattered, indicating to me that he'd hot-wired it. Help me gather our shit, he said, getting out of the truck. I used his pack to prop up Nick's head, then began gathering what I could. While I did that, Carl was busy getting the car off of its side. He did this by using a car tow cable from the back of the truck. He hooked it from the truck's bumper to the car's. By driving, he pulled the car back upright. After that, he put Nick in the passenger seat and helped me finish gathering our things. How far away do you think the nearest hospital is? I asked once we were back on the road. I don't know. To be honest, I'm not even sure taking him to one is the best idea. Why not? Well, for one, it's going to cost a fortune, and we're not even sure they can help. We have to at least try. I know that, but the poison isn't from around here. To put it simply, if that toad could be considered demonic, we may need to approach this from that angle. So what? Do you think we should bathe him in holy water? We aren't believers, so that might not work either. I think we need to find someone who can help us. Someone out of the way. Like a witch doctor type? Something like that. How's he doing? Not good, but he doesn't seem to be getting worse. That could change soon, though, so we need to find someone fast. The next 10 or so minutes were only accompanied by Nick's pained rasp. To say I thought Carl's idea was a long shot would be an understatement. I mean, where the hell would someone be who'd happen to know a cure for the poison afflicting Nick? I was thinking we'd have to try half a dozen faith healers, or those nut jobs who try using shit like healing crystals to cure cancer. All we could do then was hope someone legit could help us. A gurgling noise drew our attention to Nick. What the fuck? Carl asked hoarsely. What we were seeing rendered me unable to speak at first. Nick's body was slowly beginning to darken, as if it were rotting, and all of his features were bloating.